Take her.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown, they did it!
Good afternoon. What's going on? Welcome on in to another edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Thanks for tuning in, being a part of the show today. Just off the top, just a reminder, no new news about Jared Calhoun on if he's staying in Logan or if he's headed to West Virginia. And we're unsure. Is that good news?
Well, there's one pretty reliable source of information that is now saying that Coach Calhoun is staying. Brian Phillips has usually got a pretty good finger on the pulse of Utah State, saying that Coach Calhoun is staying. We got to wait. I trust the stuff that Brian puts out. I'm not going to throw any doubt on his reporting. You'd like to see it officially official, although at this point, I'm leaning towards it being unofficially official. That kind of status where I think it's, if you're a Utah State fan, you can probably relax. He's probably staying.
If there'd be a lot of pressure from West Virginia to make an announcement and make a move. The reports about who was their top target chose Iowa instead. It's got to be a little deflating if you're West Virginia. But at the same time, Jared Calhoun has strong ties to West Virginia. He was an assistant there for a long time. And certainly he proved this year he's a successful coach with a good program and can get to the NCAA tournament. But there's also kind of diverging camps there in West Virginia. Do they want to go in a new direction, a non-Bob Huggins direction, or hold on to that history that had them as a successful program and reignite some of that after their team missed out on the NCAA tournament this last year?
Yeah, it's a complicated situation. I don't envy it. And they're in a similar position to the Aggies where they're looking for their fourth head coach in 4 years. Of course, maybe the Aggies actually have a continuity in coaching. Like, that may actually happen. Eric, I may actually have an off season where I don't have to, because I had a pre-written article about coach leaving, waiting for the news to break or to hear it from a source. I had a whole article. I'd already been doing the research, Eric, on Saturday and Sunday. Who are possible next head coaches of the Aggies? I may have to go out and delete those articles now.
Let's hope so. I hope you can.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
I'll screenshot it. That way you can. If it ends up being true, I'll screen record me deleting the article. You can see the article that I wrote and then
sent off into the ether. A lot of different things to get through this hour. We will diverge a little bit from the basketball talk because there's other great things going on. Utah State gymnastics. They won the Mountain West Conference and gymnastics meet here recently. They found out today that they are advancing. At least we knew they were going to advance. Now we know where and against whom. We didn't get a chance to play the audio that we had from last week. Jason, you got a chance to catch up with Kevin McGiven, Utah State's new offensive coordinator for football. And so a lot of different things we want to get into, but always a reminder, anything that you want to chime in on, we'd love to get the texts on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321. And let's go to some of those here real quick. 8968. I'll admit it, when the Aggies drop out, I quit watching the games. I'll somewhat keep up, but honestly, I don't care.
To me, the early NCAA tournament is a lot like when you get into April, May. I can't remember exactly when this starts, but it's when the NBA and NHL begin their playoffs. And I'll tell you what, I watch probably 20 to 30 or more NHL, NBA, not necessarily like, front to back, but like I watch a lot of games. Like I'll be late at, it's nighttime and I'll be like, I'm doing some on my computer, pull up a game on.
Yeah.
And whether it's NBA for that night, if it's NHL, whatever I think is good. So I'll watch a ton of games, mostly because of the volume. It's just wall to wall, NHL, NBA, and NCAA tournament's the same. Now, I've struggled to watch as much NCAA tournament the last 3 years. For a very specific reason, I'm usually busy somewhere, wherever Utah State's at. But even then, I'm on location watching the games. So, but then, when the Aggies lose, it's like by the time they go out and, by the time I get home, second round's over, it's like now it's not the same wall to wall, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tip for basketball. So it does lose some of the luster. I will still be watching. I can understand if you want to drop out because, I'm not going to watch as much. But that's kind of the way the magic of the NCAA tournament is actually, it's not really the Final Four. That's the destination, and everyone watches the one shining moment and cries. They see their team and all the emotions. But the real magic of March Madness is the first week.
Yes, the first week, the Thursday and Friday opening rounds. Now, look, we love a Cinderella story, and that's fun to look at a mid-major program or even a low-major program that gets on a run. Those are fun stories, but viewership is highest when they're recognizable brands facing each other. Yeah. So even though there is no mid-major program in the Sweet 16, these are all power conferences. This is a who's who of college basketball. Yes, there's people with their overtures like, oh, I'm not watching anymore because there's no Cinderellas, there's no mid-majors, it's only the power conferences. I would wager that viewership in the Sweet 16 is going to be among the highest it's been in a long time because every game features recognizable teams, recognizable coaches squaring off against each other, not a school that nobody knows about, which is a fun story, but you just don't have that draw. All the teams in the Sweet 16 this year, they have drawing power. So I think there will be a lot of people tuning in to watch these games. Yeah,
well, I think it's a silent majority of the casual viewer, and I don't mean to use that as a negative term. I'm a casual watcher of sports like the NHL and NBA, and even of the MLB. I'm a casual watcher. I'll tune in for certain matchups and for the playoffs and things like that. I'm lumped in there. I'm not a casual viewer of college basketball. I fall more into the junkie, the mid-major junkie is probably where I fit in, and it's a lot of the mid-major junkies that are mad about. And on all the sickos, and I use that in a positive sense, the college basketball sickos that are upset that you don't have any of these mid-major Cinderellas. But the mid-major junkies and sickos, we're not the majority. We're the minority. So while some of us may tune out a little bit more, the casual viewer tunes in. And you may not like it, but that's just the way it is. And it's also why these big programs have a ton of money is because they have all the casual viewers and they just have more people following them. And, a lot of the casual viewers may not be donating, but there's at least more of them donating to these big programs.
Yeah. A couple other texts on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. 5452 sending the GIF there from Brian Phillips. It says Coach stays. Then 652.
Where's that even from?
Yeah, that's apparently from a TV show or a movie. I don't know. And then 6521. Good grief, Twitter whiplash. Now we should donate to NIL since Calhoun is staying. Phillips tweet, LOL.
Yeah, now of course there's the whole thing of donate so that Mason Falslev stays. It's what happens if he doesn't stay? Can you get a refund on your NIL? Because a lot of people have been donating to NIL so that Ike Larson can stay and so Mason can stay. It's those guys stay, but it was donate so Great Osobor stays. Guess what he didn't do? Insert any other great player that's left the Aggies. Donate so they'll stay, and then they don't.
Then they just have a bigger pot of money to go get the guys that
that's
need
true.
to fill the open positions now.
That's true, I suppose. 5452 saying that gift's from the movie Hoosiers. I've never seen that movie, actually.
What?
No, I have not.
How is Jason? We have to remedy this.
I don't watch a whole lot of sports movies, Eric, because usually they're not very good at showing the sports. The stories are good.
It's still a great story.
Stories are good.
Yeah.
They nail the stories because they're movies, and movies tell good stories. But it's weird watching actors who don't know what a basketball is try and shoot a hoop.
There have been some
And
very
recognizing
bad.
all the tricks they do to make it look like they made a basket or hit a baseball good or whatever.
Yes, 5452. Jason, go watch it tonight. You have your assignment.
Where do you find it?
Yeah, what streaming platform is
Like
it
if it's
even
on Hulu, I could go watch. I
don't even
think
know.
I might have access to Prime, or if it's on like YouTube. I have
so many different choices now.
Premium.
It's
Like,
hard to know.
If you can identify like 2 or 3 places I can watch it, maybe I can go try it.
Yeah. 1623. Just tuning in, I'll be honest, if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. Just look at CSU with Medved. Just a few hours after a tourney loss, he's gone to Minnesota. I'm hopeful for Calhoun's future. Go Aggies.
Yeah, the fact that Medved got hired away before Calhoun was like almost a positive sign. It was like, okay, if it was going to happen, it was going to happen. But for me, I think the biggest part of like where I was thinking it was still going to happen, and it may still happen. I don't know if we're completely out of the woods, but the McCollum hiring to Iowa, that was something that I think, because that was like one of West Virginia's top target was McCollum, Ben McCollum. He goes to Iowa instead. That's where I was like, okay, now we're waiting on Calhoun. Wait for Calhoun to get back to Logan or whatever. Supposedly he was on a flight from Charlotte to Salt Lake, which funnily enough, so was I. I flew from Charlotte to Salt Lake.
Yes, you did. But why wasn't he flying home with the team?
So the social media post said that he was at a wedding.
Oh.
That was, of course, he came home with the team because there were reports that he was at the
when the team arrived.
Yeah, they welcomed the team at on campus in the Spectrum, and then I guess would have flown out again. Supposedly, the story was for a player's wedding.
Oh, okay. And 5452 has done the research. Amazon Prime has Hoosiers.
I'll see. I'm not 100% sure I'd have access to Amazon Prime, but I'm pretty sure. I think my brother has an account. And I live with my brother, so
you have access.
So I have access to it.
You're not pirating his login information.
Yeah, well, I traded my Hulu access with one of my other brothers for their MLS season pass for trading, so that we can watch RSL, but he can watch college basketball for March. So we executed a trade.
There we go.
March Madness to him, RSL to us.
I like it. Hey, other big things that are happening with Utah State. The Mountain West Conference created its own gymnastics conference. The Aggies were part of the Mountain Rim Conference previously, which pulled schools from various different other conferences to create one conference unique and specific to gymnastics. And then last year created their own conference. And, the Aggie gymnastics squad has been competitive. They've had some great meets. They've had some great individual performances. And this last weekend, they went out and won the conference. They became conference champions over the weekend. And now they get a chance to keep performing and keep competing.
Yeah, and they're going to the NCAA Regionals as a team. It's their first time since 2022. They did that under Amy Smith, who right after competing in regionals, she went and they to go be the head coach at Clemson. They were just starting a gymnastics program at Clemson. She took a lot of the better athletes from the Aggies with her to Clemson because the Aggies were basically becoming a perennial top 25 program at that point. And getting to regionals, she had, I think, 2 appearances in regionals in her time at Utah State. So Amy Smith had built the Aggies into a very good, Western program. Obviously, the Utes are one of the national standards for consistency, but Utah State had gotten itself pretty solid up here in Logan. Kristin White had to come in and kind of rebuild from the ground up. It's not like the cupboards were completely bare, but she had to rebuild some stuff. And finally getting this team back to conference contention. Finished second last year in the Mountain West Championship meet, the inaugural Mountain West Championship meet. And then
which was hosted here.
Yeah, it was hosted here in Logan. And then winning it this year. I can't remember where it was hosted this year. But, getting that championship. And since they finished in the top 36 of the national qualifying score, I think is the acronym, NQS. So they knew they were getting in because it's not like the selection show where it's like, are you getting in? Are you not? They knew, but It was a bit of like who they were going to face. They even knew where they were going to go. They knew they were going to be in Salt Lake. But still, a lot of what happened when they were watching the selection show earlier today was kind of a celebration of this is the team, this is where they're at. They fulfilled pretty much every single one of their season goals, which, and I had a chance to talk to Kristin White. Are we going to have time to play that before we take a break?
Yeah, we can play it.
Okay. Because there's some things she goes into about motivations that go all the way back to last. You mentioned the getting second place.
PFZ.
Yeah, PFZ, an acronym, or PZF.
Or PZF, sorry.
I mix it up too in my head. I misspelled like 3 times in my article. Had to fix it.
0.05.
Yeah, so you'll hear about that acronym and how that ended up motivating. And we talked to some other athletes, and they mentioned it too, as that motivation of taking second place and how that factored into this season and culminating in the team going to regionals.
So just first thoughts. I mean, obviously you knew pretty much exactly what was going to happen, but just thoughts on, what happened for you guys going to regionals as a team and, getting several athletes in there, even as individuals.
Yeah. Incredibly proud of our athletes. This was our goal since last March to get the whole team to regionals. So usually when you see a whole team qualifying and then they're in that first round, you're typically going to have quite a few individuals that are going to make it to the second round. So incredibly proud of all the efforts of our student athletes. Without their dedication, we wouldn't have been able to get there this year. So really excited to go compete against BYU.
This has to be exciting coming off a Mountain West championship. I mean, how much more better momentum could you have going into this?
I don't think we could have better momentum. I mean, that was one of the greatest nights of my life to see our women, their hard work pay off. And so I'm really excited. I know that they're going to take that momentum and keep going. They want to get past the first round. They want to go to round 2. And I truly believe that this team believes in their potential and they're going to maximize every opportunity they're given.
Kind of just barely been introduced to PZF here. Just how much, when did that come about exactly? Like when you started honing in on that as kind of the, team motto for the entire year.
Yeah. So it really started at the Mountain West Championship last year. We lost that championship by 0.05 in gymnastics, which is the lowest deduction that you could possibly get in our sport. And so that was the mentality, PZF 0.05, which means just paying attention to detail. What can we do to be 0.05 better in our life, whether it's in school, in the community, in the gym. And so that also turned into prepare. We wanted to prepare in the off season to be ready for this moment. The Z stands for zealous. We want to have fun in the moment. We don't want to forget how much we enjoy this sport. And then the F stands for finish, and that's what we're doing right now. We finished the Mountain West Championship. We're going to finish at regionals, and I'm just incredibly proud.
Now, when the announcers mentioned BYU, they kind of talked like they're already moving BYU on to the next round. How do you take that as motivation to go down there, or do you not even worry about that kind of stuff?
To be honest with you, I don't worry about it because it's anyone's meet. It's going to come down to the team that wants it the most and it hones into those details the most. So I'm not worried. We've beat them once this year. We're tied going into regionals, and so I like being the underdog. So I'm excited for our team.
As I mentioned, you beat them earlier in the year, but that was way early in the year. A lot of things have changed, obviously, for both teams. What do you feel like is different about both of these teams heading into this dual meet?
We've reached every goal this season that we wanted to attain, and so I think that's enough motivation to keep our team moving forward. We've also had a ton of adversity, and a lot of times when you see teams having adversity, they end up being the best that they could be in that moment. So really excited for them to go out and just have a great competition.
Nyla, she wasn't able to compete at Mountain West, right? Was she hurt? Is she going to be okay in time for regionals?
Unfortunately, she won't. We had 2 athletes that went out with a season-ending injury at our last regular season meet at Arizona. So we were without her, which, again, was incredible that we won that championship. Nyla has been our top vaulter and floor performer for the last 2 years here at Utah State. So we were incredibly devastated to lose her, but the team rallied, and they were able to step in and fill in those shoes that we were missing. So unfortunately, we won't have those 2 competing, but I know that they're on the road to recovery and they'll be back next year.
The other one?
Hattie Wright.
Nyla's not transferring to Utah. They put the wrong logo next to her name for one of those.
Absolutely not.
I guess just for you winning the Mountain West title, how big was that for you? Taking over this program, that was kind of the standard. Because I believe the year you came in, they just won the Mountain Rim title. Just how big is that for you to get that under your belt now?
Oh, I mean, it means everything. I knew when I took this job, it was going to be incredibly difficult to lose several athletes and have to rebuild. And, you know, our sport doesn't rebuild quite as fast as maybe some of the other sports, and it takes time and you got to be patient. And so just incredibly proud of my staff. I have 2 amazing assistant coaches and a phenomenal athletic trainer that believe in the vision for this program, and they give their best every single day. And so without our staff pushing and being on the same page for the last 3 years, it would have been really challenging. But incredibly proud of that moment. One of the highlights of my career as a coach, obviously. And just in my journey of gymnastics, it's been phenomenal, and I couldn't be more proud of our women.
How long do they have this format where they have the kind of basically a play-in duel? I don't really remember that. Has it been around for a few years?
Yeah, so we started that, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago when we changed the format of our NCAA tournament. We didn't want to drop the 36 teams, but I think it came from TV. We used to have 6 teams in a competition, which created buys, and you don't normally do that in the preseason, so we wanted to find a way to get rid of it. So they do call it a play-in, but really it's the same it's always been. It's the first round of NCAA Regionals. You've just got to move on to that second round.
Looking at Brianna, this is kind of going to be her last ride. She's been to regionals before, but what are you looking to see from her in regionals, trying to get her to the championships, obviously?
I want to see Brianna have the best gymnastics on bars and beam at that regional championship if she qualifies as an individual. To qualify in the national championship, I mean, what she's done for this program is incredible. She's one of the best athletes that I've ever worked with in my career. She's a phenomenal leader, and she deserves every goal that she sets for herself. And so she wants to get there, but most importantly, her biggest goal was to get her team to regionals. And so I think she's going to have fun in the moment and do the best she can.
Yeah, that's Utah State head gymnastics coach Kristin White talking today after Utah State saw where their destination is going to be. And kind of recapping what the season that they've had, winning the Mountain West Conference Championship, and also some of the great athletes on that team, giving more opportunities to perform and compete to try to advance in the NCAA tournament for gymnastics. So pretty exciting stuff for USU Gymnastics. You can see Jason's got a write-up of their experience today on CashValleyDaily.com. Photo gallery of when they returned home with their hardware over the weekend, and details about their conference championship win over the weekend as well can all be found on CashValleyDaily.com. Quick timeout. We'll be right back here on the Full Court Press.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Did you get your tax return yet? This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Maybe it's time to finally upgrade that appliance that's on its last leg. We have a showroom and warehouse full of scratch and dents and our best-selling appliances. Our scratch and dent appliances come with a 2-year parts and labor warranty. That is a Daryl's exclusive. Make sure you get service with your purchase only at Daryl's. We always service what we sell. Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road.
Disasters don't wait for a convenient time. When the unexpected strikes, call the trusted team at Blue Sky. Remember, Blue Sky is that same great ARS team you know and trust.
This is Tom with Blue Sky Restoration. When disaster strikes, whether it's a flood, fire, mold damage, or an unforeseen accident, Blue Sky will clean up, repair, and restore your home or business like it was before. No disaster is too big or too small. For all your restoration needs, you can trust our Blue Sky team.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Voting continues in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Only a few days left. So make sure you go to bestofnorthernutah.com. A lot of different categories. There are subcategories there. Find hundreds of businesses that are, they've been nominated to be the best in what they do. So if you feel the same, let your voice be heard, and let's put a shine on these businesses and people who do a really good job at what they do, and be recognized as the best in Northern Utah. So go to bestofnorthernutah.com. Vote today. You can vote once per day, but you can vote in as many different categories as you want. And make sure you do that today, tomorrow, and I think Wednesday is the last day. So time is running out to let your voice be heard. So earlier today, Utah State gymnastics program found out they had a selection show that they got to watch and find out that they're still competing, that they already knew they were going to advance, but it just becomes official. It's a bit of a foregone conclusion, but it's still a nice ceremony to get the team together and be recognized together, winners of the Mountain West Conference Championship, and a score high enough to continue, and they're not having to go very far to continue to compete. So a lot of Aggie fans can go cheer them on.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. They've already competed in Salt Lake earlier this year. The best of Utah, I think, was because they competed with like BYU, Utah. I think SCU was probably already there because I know they're good. They're another really solid gymnastics program here in the state. But yeah, I had a chance to talk with a couple of the athletes, Brianna Brooks and Olivia Orengo. Let's hear from Olivia. She's actually one of their promising freshmen. You got the both ends of the spectrum here. Brianna Brooks is like the seasoned veteran, all-time great at this point for Utah State gymnastics. I think this is her fourth or fifth appearance in regionals. She's been doing this forever, and she's been fantastic for the Aggies. Orengo, she earned second team All-Mountain West. She's just a freshman, though. She's the up-and-comer who could have a big future with Utah State. So let's hear from Olivia after the team found out, all the NCAA regional stuff.
Hi, just first thoughts on making regionals as a team. Just how exciting is that for you, especially coming off the heels of a Mountain West championship?
It's definitely super exciting, and it was a goal from ours in the beginning of the year. So it's been cool to be part of this team and make it this far. And my first year, it's been super cool, and just really excited to get out there and see what the next years have to come to be a part of this team.
Say, being a freshman, what is it just wide-eyed, or how do you approach this whole season as a freshman?
Yeah, honestly, it's been crazy as a freshman. I don't really know what's going on some of the times, but it's been super cool, and just my teammates and seniors have really helped me get through it and understand everything. But as a freshman, this is definitely a cool experience, and just getting a lot of experience is good for my next year's coming.
And we just had PZF explain to us. Granted, you weren't there last year with the narrow loss of the Mountain West title, but what has that kind of meant to you as you've gone through this freshman season and been a part of that mindset of winning the Mountain West championship and getting to the regionals?
Yeah, definitely. When I first got here, PZF was a big thing, and just learning that everything matters. Every little, just taking a step could change the end of a meet. So just in practice, learning how to focus in and down on every single detail, and it all matters, and put everything out there so we can make good things happen. I don't know.
With the scores, it seems like you have been able to. The team has been scoring a lot better lately. Do you feel like things are coming together at the right time?
Yeah, I think I've definitely improved since the beginning of the year. I've definitely gained a lot of confidence in my gymnastics and all my skills this year, just from all the meets every week, and I've become just a little bit more settled and calm with my routines. So, yeah.
So another matchup with BYU. What are the keys to getting another win over the Cougars for you guys?
I think just keeping up what we've been doing, keeping the PZF mentality, and then just focusing on the details and always just having fun. That's a big thing. We do our best when we have fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch these meets because you see the athletes supporting each other and have a lot of fun out on the floor, and a lot of excitement and energy, and just the sheer athleticism of these athletes is incredible to watch what they can do, and awesome that they get more opportunities to continue to compete.
Yeah, it's fantastic, especially doing it as a team, because Brianna Brooks, and I was double checking this because I was trying to be accurate, because the math I was doing is that Brianna Brooks will be in her 5th NCAA regional, which, going back to 2021, it says she placed in the Salt Lake City NCAA regional second round. It's going all the way back to 2021, she's been in regionals, so she's reaching all-time great status with how often she's been great. But a lot of times she's done it by herself, basically.
Right. She alone qualifies, doesn't
Yeah.
go with the team, but because she herself has competed at such a level that she can go on and compete as an individual.
Yeah. But now we get this year, of course, she was on that 2022 team that also went as a team to regionals. But the last couple of years, she's gone by herself. But now she's taking the whole team with her to regional. And Brooks was one of the athletes that we also had a chance to speak with after the selection show.
Thoughts, you're no stranger to regionals, but getting back, especially as a team, just how exciting is that for you and the team?
It's huge. It's been a long time coming, and it's just much more fun when you can have your team support there. And I'm really proud of this team, so I can't wait to do it with them.
Was there much drama? I mean, you knew that you were in, right, because of the regional qualifying scores. So what was the drama? Was there any drama today, or just excited to know where you were going exactly, or who you were going to be up against?
Yeah, not much drama. We knew we were in, so that was a big relief for us. But we were excited to go back down to Salt Lake City because that's close to home for us. Our fans can come with us, so we're pretty excited about that and ready to go against the Cougs.
How much of a difference does that truly make, obviously, with obviously all the mental aspects of gymnastics, to have your teammates there in uniform supporting you as you're doing your routine? Just how much does that change things for you mentally?
It's huge. We're no stranger to going down to Salt Lake City and being in the Utah arena, so that's a big thing. Having your teammates by your side, those are your best friends, that's your family, so it's really great, and I think we're really lucky to go down there.
What do you do to help your teammates get ready for this, having had the experience of being there, being in these big kind of meets?
Yeah, just same thing. It's what we do all the time. So not making it too much of a big deal, having fun, doing what we normally do, and reassuring the team that we earned this, we're ready for this, and we can do it.
So it's like you're facing BYU again. Obviously, as mentioned, you beat them earlier in the season. What's it like facing them once again and then getting a chance to face Utah, provided you win that one?
Yeah. Going into it, knowing we've beat them once, we can do it again. That's just the mentality. This team can do what we put our mind to, so that's super exciting. Going in with a little bit more confidence on our shoulders, and then going down in that last session, that's a huge deal. So going against the U, it'll be a fun night.
Coming off this Mountain West, winning the Mountain West, how big was this, getting some momentum, some big scores? You've been getting some big scores on the road this year.
Coming off the championship, it's always a big thing, right? So we've been working hard this year. We've been doing PZF, and PZF finally paid off, so we're going to keep going off of that. Using PZF to win, using it to go on that second day. We're coming off a high, and we're going to continue to rise.
Can you explain PZF? It's something we're not familiar with.
Oh, yeah. So PZF has been our motto all year. It's been 0.05 is what we lost the last Mountain West Championship to. So that's what we've been going. It's prepare, zealous, finish, and that's what we've been doing all year. And it paid off at this Mountain West Championship so we could get that win, and we're going to keep doing it.
I guess just for you individually going into regionals, just obviously you've been there before, but for you, what are the biggest goals for you? Obviously, maybe aside from the obvious being advanced to nationals.
These last couple of years I've been going as an individual, and I've been close to making that national mark, and this year is the year. I want to go to nationals. I want to be in Fort Worth, and I want to represent Utah State there. So I'm excited.
There she is, Brianna Brooks, headed to NCAA regionals for gymnastics.
Yeah, it's regional. So in the format of this is, so there's 36 teams, and basically you have a first round. That's where Utah State's going to be, and it's basically a play-in because they'll be in a dual meet with BYU on April 2nd. If they win that dual meet, they'll advance to a 4-team. It'll be a quad meet with Utah, Stanford, Denver, and obviously Utah State will be the 4th team in there. And then that's the second round, and that's April 5th, I think. They're all there's 3 rounds within a week. It's like if Utah State went to nationals, they compete in 3 meets in the same week. So that second round, so there's 4 teams. If they're one of the top 2 scoring teams, they advance to another regional round. And there's also another 4 teams. So there's 10 teams competing in the Salt Lake Regional. There's the play-in with Utah State and BYU, there's 9 teams because 2 are playing for that final spot. So there's a second round with 8 teams. There's 2 sessions with 4 teams each, where it's basically 1 meet. The top 2 teams from each session advance. They create a new 4-team meet, and then the top 2 teams from that one will advance to nationals. That makes sense.
Just go Aggies.
Yeah, win the dual meet and be in the top 2 of the next 2 rounds. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, so it'll be in Salt Lake City. Great opportunity to make the short drive to cheer on this Utah State Aggie squad as they continue to compete at the NCAA level to try to continue to compete and advance and do more and build on an already special season. We're going to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, let's hear from somebody else, another coach. Let's talk some football. Jason had a chance to catch up with new offensive coordinator, former Aggie assistant coach, now current Utah State.
Yeah, I managed to forget that in the beginning of my interview, and you had to correct me.
Yeah, but we'll hear from Kevin McGiven. And what does Utah State football look like offensively under his tutelage in 2025? I know it's very early in the game, but get his philosophies on what he hopes to see for Utah State. We'll hear from him next here on the Full Court Press.
Advanced Heating and AC is the 4-time gold medalist in the Best of Northern Utah for the AC HVAC category. They thank you for your past support and vote of confidence in their company. They also would appreciate your vote this year in the 2025 Best of Northern Utah competition. To find a quick link to vote for them, go to advancedheating-ac.com. That's advancedheating-ac.com. Thank you for your vote and congratulations to all the Best of Northern Utah winners.
For more than a century, couples have shopped at S.C. Needham Jewelers for their diamond engagement ring. We have the largest selection of exclusive engagement rings in the area. Also, with the use of state-of-the-art technology, we're able to custom make with precision the ring of your dreams. You'll be able to work with our award-winning jewelry designer, Joseph Needham. You will also enjoy a vast selection of loose diamonds, allowing you to choose an affordable price range. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.C. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number 1 in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
The end of winter sale on all snow gear and winter apparel continues at Young Power Sports of Logan. All snow gear for sleds, four-wheelers, side-by-sides. You can save up to 30%. Young Power Sports carries every accessory for every model. Save up to 30%. Save huge on all things winter at Young Power Sports of Logan. They sponsor our text line, 435-339-0321. And we've been talking a lot about the Aggies today. Utah State basketball, first hour. No news from Coach Calhoun on his front, whether he's going to stay in Logan or go to West Virginia. Though at this point, no news is good news, but still unsettled. West Virginia hasn't named their new head coach yet, so there's still that chance that he could still go there. But Coach Nico Medved has left Colorado State. He's going to Minnesota. We already know UNLV is looking for a new head coach. Those seem to be the real only openings so far in the Mountain West Conference. Still unsure if Richard Pitino leaves, if Fresno State fires their coach, even though he has fired their entire roster, or they've left on their own free will, because there's like nobody sticking around at Fresno State. But Utah State gymnastics learning today that they get to continue to compete and go to the NCAA Regionals. So a lot of things still going on. Last week, it was Utah State football starting off spring practices. And it starts off kind of slow as you kind of build up to what they'll do here in a couple of weeks. No public practices, no spring scrimmage. But this team is trying to come together under a new coaching staff. And Jason, you got a chance to catch up with the new new/old offensive coordinator, Kevin McGiven.
Yeah, I managed to forget that because early on I was asking, like, oh, what about Utah State attracted you? And I was like, I forgot that he'd already been here. It's like, well, the fact that he'd already been here and he liked it here, that's probably what brought him back here. But also he talks about, working with Bronco Mendenhall because this is new for him. So an interesting perspective from the, as you said, new/old offensive coordinator for Utah State.
All right, so here with Utah State offensive coordinator Kevin McGiven. Just kind of want to ask about how you ended up here. Did Bronco just call you up and say, hey, you want a job? How was that process like for you?
Oh, yeah. Bronco and I have some history together when he was a defensive coordinator and I was a graduate assistant at BYU. And we've stayed in touch. Just that, I'd never had the opportunity to work with Coach Mendenhall, obviously. But, when I heard he got this job and, I was obviously extremely interested in the opportunity to work for him, just based on the things that I had heard from guys that I know, and that, being around the type of program that he runs, the type of person that he is, I knew my values were aligned. And so yes, I sought him out. He sought me out at the same time. I think, probably a couple of people gave some good recommendations. And so I was fortunate enough to get that call, and we hit it off right off the bat and knew that that it was something that I was looking for and that he was looking for also.
So obviously you wanted to work with Bronco Mendenhall. Was there anything about Utah State that added to, wanting to work, or anything about the Aggies that you felt was something you want to be a part of?
Yeah. This is my third time here, and so to me there's something about this place where, even after the first time, you kind of start to bleed blue a little bit. The second time a little bit more, and just coming back here, it just felt like I was coming home. Bronco has the pillars of our program, a family first, last, and always. And, and so for me, a big part of it was my family being here. And, so that was part of it coming back home. But I feel like this is a special place that we can do some special things. So.
I managed to forget that you were here before. You were here in I think it was early 2010, something like that. You were the quarterback coach?
Yeah, I was here in 2009 and then again as the OC in 13 and 14.
So what was that experience like for you back then? I mean, that's like, people looked at that as like, that's when Utah State football kind of got reborn, and you're kind of part of that, growing the program and helping get it to where it is today, where the standard is the bowl game, where it used to be like if you won 5 games, it was kind of a good thing.
No, it was, first year of a rebuild under Gary Anderson, the first time I was here in 09, and so got to be around a lot of really good players that were on that team. DeAndre Burrell was the quarterback. Robert Turbin was here. Kerwin Williams came in. Bobby Wagner was here. A bunch of really good players. It was fun to be around those guys and see that kind of get started. And then I left. And by the time I came back, it was pretty well established at that point. Where when Matt Wells took over, I was fortunate enough to come back and be the offensive coordinator. But the culture had taken hold a little bit, and they had been able to recruit really good talent, and so I was able to be kind of the recipient of some of the success we were able to have.
So now coming back where the program is where it is, but obviously a bit of a down year last year. What are the biggest steps you guys got to take forward to getting back to what this program, had been for most of the 2010s and early 2020s?
Yeah, I think it's 11 bowl games in 13 years and a conference championship not too long ago, and having been in the conference at another school and always looking at Utah State and what they were doing that year, what they were capable of, and so I've always known that it's a special place that can do special things. Obviously slipped a little bit last year, not par for the course in terms of what this program has been about, and so we need to reestablish a winning culture here and we get Broncos program in place, and I think once we have that culture in place, then that will sustain us for a long time.
So Bronco, he's obviously got a more unique culture, a lot of things that he tries to do off the field, with his team. How long do you anticipate that maybe taking, where pretty much all these guys, maybe a few of the New Mexico transfers, they haven't been in this culture, they don't know what it's like? How long do you kind of anticipate that maybe taking, if it'll be a year or more?
Yeah, I'm not sure that, I'm kind of along for the ride as well, with my first opportunity with Coach Mendenhall. And so I'm learning things on a daily basis. We're learning about these kids on a daily basis. I know he's commented on the fact that, the attrition has been less with this team than other teams that he has taken over as the head coach for. And so I think we've got some really hardworking, resilient kids. The culture seems to be taking taking place pretty quickly, or taking hold pretty quickly, and but we've got a long ways to go.
You mentioned the turnover. How much of the turnover are you expecting on that offensive side? I mean, a lot of the attrition for the offense came from graduations. Most of the guys graduating, Jalen Orlis goes to the NFL. So is there any level of attrition on offense that you maybe weren't expecting, or is it kind of what you expected, the amount of players that ended up leaving?
I think it's these days about what you would expect when a staff leaves. We come in, we didn't recruit guys. They may have been recruited to a system. They may have been recruited by a specific coach. There's obviously NIL involved. With some guys leaving or being enticed to leave, and so you kind of have that expectation when you come in now that there's going to be a pretty high rate of turnover. And so we evaluate the roster and we look at guys, and we have conversations with the guys that are here that we would like to stay and be a part of the program, and then we understand that we got to go out and rebuild that roster. So.
Does there end up being a silver lining with the more attrition that teams tend to get when you come in as a new coach, where you can go out and recruit guys that you want, or is it still kind of hard because you're bringing in a bunch of new guys together, don't have any consistency?
Yeah, that's always going to be hard when anytime you have a bunch of turnover on a roster, but I think if you have a strong foundation, you have a strong enough culture with the guys that are here, that it tends to weed people out. I think Coach Mendenhall's program, we weed people out in the vetting process when we recruit them, and so we got to make sure that we're bringing in the right fit when we recruit guys and when we evaluate them, so that when they come here that they are a good fit and less likely to leave because they're coming here for the right reasons.
I talked to you and Coach about things that need to happen off the field, but what do you want to see from this offense on the field throughout spring ball, knowing it's not going to be a finished product by the end, but what progression you want to see from these guys on the field in spring ball? What do they need to be able to accomplish as a unit?
Yeah, the biggest thing right now is just learning how to play football together and learning how to do it with extremely high effort and intensity. That's today they were running around, they were playing fast. I don't look real hard at the execution of the scheme at this point. You'd always like it to be really, really good, and there were some really good moments today. Some things that took hold over with the install in the off season. That was fun to see. In an actual practice setting against a defense. But biggest thing is just getting total effort out of these guys and them playing 100% every single snap. That is reflective of a Bronco Mendenhall football team and a Bronco Mendenhall culture, is just getting them to play that way consistently. That's going to be the hardest thing to deal with. If we can get them to that point, and then as we go, the schemes will come.
Does the scheme typically come like either later in spring ball or even fall ball? Is that kind of the typical process where you focus on the effort and then get the scheme together a bit later? Yeah,
I think offensively when you're playing with the football and when you have 11 guys and everybody's assignment is huge. The ball doesn't always find the mistake. But there's a lot of those. A lot of those things that can happen offensively that have to come together, and sometimes that takes quite a bit of time, especially when you're working with a lot of bodies that haven't played together.
So I got asked by the quarterback position. It's kind of the end-all, be-all. I don't know if you want to reveal anything about the quarterback battle, but what do you expect from that unit where you have one guy returning, a bunch of other guys, one guy returning that played, and some other newcomers? What do you expect out of that position group?
Yeah, at this point, the expectation is just to go out and compete and be the best version of themselves. And we'll figure out what that looks like as it goes. But just like I said, them getting out there, executing, working within the offense, competing, being the best version of themselves every day, and being great leaders for us.
So, what do you want to? Obviously, you're not going to have public practices, not going to be able to have the spring scrimmages, but what do you want to be able to tell the fans? What would you want to be able to show the fans, that you're not really going to have the chance to until the fall?
I think it's more, being able to come and experience the culture, seeing these kids' work ethic, how just watching them run around at practice, them being around each other, seeing the brotherhood, the very tight-knit group of kids that are working hard, and so the biggest thing, for the fans is that expecting a product that they can be proud of, and these kids are working hard to try to make our fan base proud.
I'll ask this one last question. So the spring window coming up, I know it's not the most popular thing with coaches because you get guys coming and going really late in the process, but do you anticipate having to add more guys in the spring portal just to fill in holes that you may not have been able to fill in during the winter window?
Yeah, I think there's a few spots left coming out of the last recruiting cycle where we still got to address some needs, and then I think beyond that is we're just going to have to see what happens with this team and if there's any attrition as we go throughout the spring or at the end of spring. I think most of the guys I'm seeing are doing a really good job. They're bought in, but that could possibly change that as role changes as spring ball goes on. But but I like these kids. I like this team the way they're working, and so we'll address those needs as they come.
All right, Utah State offensive coordinator Kevin McGiven. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there he is. Utah State just start of spring practices, so not a lot to report back on how things are materializing just yet. More philosophical ideas, but it will be interesting to see if we get more meat from the coaches about how things are going, or is it going to be more like schematic installations and things like that?
Yeah, it's tricky because they've already been pretty open that they don't want to reveal anything, and so I tried not to just be like, all right, what's your scheme? Well, who's your starting quarterback going to be? Because I know I'm not really going to get that, so I'm trying to pry what information I can, knowing that they're deliberately, and again with good reason, we've been over this, but with good reason, hiding a lot of things for now.
We'll get more to react to that, but also during the course of listening to this interview, some breaking news about Utah State basketball. Stick around. We'll have to discuss that next after this timeout.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gscgenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Nothing better than a great song from 1976. Hi, this is Bob Larson with LSS Insurance, and I'm talking to you, graduating class of 76. Even if you're still working or getting ready to retire, Medicare is a conversation we need to have. Let us help you understand Medicare and all your options. Don't rely on TV ads or annoying phone calls. Having a local agent makes all the difference. Call LSS at 752-9493. Call 752-9493.
Winter is almost over, and the Sportsman on Main Street has tons of season-ending deals. All skis and ski boots are 40% off. If you need outerwear, it is up to 50% off. All fall and winter casual clothing is up to 70% off. At the Sportsman, we have truly unique clothing and outerwear, so you won't see yourself coming and going. It's our season-ending sale going on right now, only at the Sportsman on Main in downtown Logan.
Welcome, friend, nice to see you again at the Sportsman.
Markets are unpredictable, but reaching your financial goals shouldn't be. Adams Wealth Advisors is dedicated to helping you navigate these challenges and ensure you're prepared for every outcome. Whether your financial plan revolves around advanced tax planning, estate planning, business strategies, retirement planning, or investment management, Adams Wealth Advisors team of CPAs, CFPs, and CFAs will provide the expertise needed to help you reach your financial goals. Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com. That's AdamsWealthAdvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Yeah, as we said, during the playback of the interview with Kevin McGiven, we've got some breaking news about Utah State basketball. He is on the move. It's not Coach Calhoun. It's Isaac Johnson, apparently has reportedly put his name in the portal to find somewhere else to play. 7-foot center on the move. And averaged 3.7 points per game, 1.7 rebounds per game. But certainly a diminished role this year compared to last year. It's kind of stinks to see somebody go who became such a fun story in the NCAA tournament last year. I am not surprised to see his name in the portal based on how he was not really fitting into Coach Calhoun's system. And does this kind of indicate that if he's leaving, that means Calhoun's sticking around?
I would think so. We've already gotten pretty big, a pretty big shift in that Calhoun is very likely staying. We've gone from pretty likely leaving to very likely staying, given the reports that have come out and the source of some of those reports. But yeah, with Isaac Johnson and the timing of him announcing he's in the portal, like right as after we hear, Calhoun staying, it could be coincidental. I'm not going to chalk it up entirely to that. But yeah, it just didn't seem that Isaac Johnson fit. Didn't seem like he's fit with Calhoun's system. Just wasn't working. Kind of fit with Danny Sprinkle, but he was still used somewhat limited in a limited sense with Sprinkle, and even less so. He basically fell out of the rotation essentially with Jared Calhoun, and was also dealing with. He's had health problems his whole career. So when you're 7 foot tall, sometimes you just get bad luck, and every small little injury can hit you. And I think Isaac Johnson has had some of that. But I think he's going to go find somewhere. I think he's going to transfer in-state. He wanted to come back to Utah State because it's, he's a Utah guy. And so I think he's going to...
Sister plays up here.
Yeah. Although, unfortunately, Gracie could end up leaving too, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's the transfer portal for the women's basketball opens tomorrow. But yeah, I would look for Isaac Johnson to transfer in-state, and I expect him to succeed. This guy's too good at basketball for this to be the best he's ever going to play. I think he's going to go somewhere. He's going to land on his feet, and provided his health doesn't fail him, because unfortunately that's a factor a lot of times with some people, but I think he's going to go somewhere, and I think he's going to succeed. Unfortunately, it's not a Utah State. It just doesn't seem to be in the cards. But like with a lot of players, sometimes it just doesn't fit where you're at, but it does fit somewhere else. Like, look at Ian Martinez. Dude languished on 2 different power conference teams for 3 years. And he's all Mountain West for 2 years at Utah State. A fantastic player. Going to go play pro now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't work. And I think Isaac Johnson's going to be that way.
Yeah, I think it was made pretty clear the way Coach was talking at the end of the season, at the end of the conference tournament, at the end of the NCAA tournament run, multiple times making comments about we need to get bigger. We need to go after and actively find somebody in the portal to come in and anchor what we do in the post. So he's signaling he doesn't have a lot of faith in what's coming back with the guys that have size.
And I wasn't a big fan of that because it threw Isaac Johnson under the bus. And it almost kind of threw Carson Templin and Isaac Davis under the bus because those are 2 of the guys he's been playing at center. I wasn't a huge fan of him saying that, but look, he's probably calling these guys out more in the locker room than he is to the media. But saying it to the media is often even a step further than that.
Right.
So but hey, he's calling his guys out, telling them they need to improve. Carson Temple and Isaac Davis, they got to improve, but they're also going to go out there and go after the best center that NIL money can buy.
Utah State NIL money can buy.
Yeah, Utah State NIL money. Like, they will be buying. They have the money apparently now. They're going to be paying a big chunk of that to Mason Falslev, but they're going to use whatever they can to go out there and find a center.
Which, those comments don't necessarily throw shade at Templin and Davis, because it'd be more like, hey, I really see you guys more as power forwards. I need a true center.
Yeah, it'd be nice
for
if they
you to maximize your God-given abilities. I need somebody else in there so you could be at your best. And it's not throwing shade that I don't believe in you. I just need somebody else at this other position.
Yeah, I think it'd be massive if, especially Carson, Isaac could probably figure out playing center for the most part, especially with his size. But Carson, it would be amazing if he's able to be powered forward, because that would really unlock things next year for him.
That's going to do it for us tonight here in the Full Court Press. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you missed any part of it, you can go find our episodes on our podcast feed, on our website, or on our app.
The home for Sports Talk Radio. KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.